Hi, I am back in this channel. I think this video is gonna be very entertaining for you. I saw a very beautiful design of stylized kind of a design of this thing. I was trying to make some stylized art for a long time. I was doing studies and all for stylized art, so I thought that let's try this. Let's make this. So I started it in Blender, and I choose Blender for this because it was a very simple shape. And after that, I had to do some sculpting on that. So for that, Blender can do the both, right? So it can give you the modeling tools, and also after the modeling is done, you can do sculpting inside the Blender. You need no need to go to a different software. So I thought let's make this thing in Blender. It's uh it's a video in this channel after a long time. Nowadays I'm getting very less time to make videos. So I'm not in my city. I'm outside somewhere and I'm getting very less time to make videos. So I'm making very less video. But thank you for whoever subscribed to this channel. Thanks for the subscriptions and the view about the video about the normal maps that got some good views on that. So I'm really happy about that. Thanks everybody for that. But you can subscribe to this channel. From now on, I will try to add new videos every now and then, and I will try to make those videos informative. Like if it's less videos, also I will try to make this informative. The main purpose of this model was to create the textures, the materials, the stylized materials by hand painting them. And the texturing part, I believe it will be very entertaining. I really enjoy the texturing process of this thing as it was totally hand painted. One thing about Blender is can you can do a lot of things in Blender. Like everything you can do in one place, so it's actually good, right? I was learning Blender, and so I tried to make this simple thing in Blender. Here I'm trying to match with the reference. The process of this thing is very simple. I have just used a sphere, tried to match with the oval shape of the egg, then subdividing it and applying it. Simple subdivision and applying that. After that, just pure sculpting. So we will have one low poly and one high poly. We're gonna bake the high poly information in the low poly model in Substance Painter. Just see the reference, listen to some songs, drink some juices, eat some chips, and enjoy your work, man. Brushes I'm using mainly is the draw brush and the sharp brush, which is the trim dynamic in ZBrush. But here it is draw sharp brush. And the clay strip brush I really like a lot. It really gives amazing control over the clay you're putting on that. This same brush is in ZBrush is called clay buildup. The thing I like about 3D in general is you can do whatever you want. It although it takes a lot of time to do it in 3D. If you're doing something painting, you just paint some brushes and it is there, right? But in 3D, lots of technicalities are there. You have to maintain the shapes. You have to uh, create the materials to look it proper and all. But at the end of the day, you can make anything you want in 3D, and it will be three-dimensional. That is the main thing about 3D. And one another thing is there, that is, if you're making one asset, that same asset can be used in a game, can be used in a movies, and also in AR VR. Yeah, there are certain restrictions, like you have to optimize the model. If you're using in games, you have to optimize the model. If you're using in augmented reality or virtual reality, hmm, but it's the same model, right? If you have any questions, you can write it down in the comments. And if you want that I make one video on certain topic, you can comment that down. Of course, I will make one video on that topic. So this is our low poly model, and that one is our high poly model. We have to bake the high poly in the low poly if you're making it for games. There are two processes actually. One is you make one high poly model, then you retopo that model as a low poly, then you bake it, or you bake the or you make the low poly first, then you subdivide it, make it a high poly, and directly bake that in Substance Painter. So in Substance Painter, we have to open the low poly model, and in the low poly model, we have to bake the high poly. The naming conventions will be very important: underscore low or underscore high. So we choose a low poly model here. The focal length you can change from the camera settings. You can change the HDRIs. If you have some custom HDRIs, you can use that also. Now for the baking, you have to select the high poly mesh for the high definition mesh. Check the cage is going outside the model or not. The cage should cover the full model. For creating stylized materials also, if we have the curvature maps, if we have the occlusion maps, we can generate amazing results with that. See, after this, it's looking better than before, right? We have to also make the stars, right? Like, but we can make only one and copy the others. All those parts extrude and match with the shapes. Bevel edges as usual. So I'm trying to add some marks so to understand that which area is which and if there is any stretching there in the model. Select the edges and do unfold. Pack the islands. Only one material obviously you're going to give. It's a very small object for both of them. Single material. And you're gonna pack it. Lots of space there. in this video, comment down how is your life going. Comment it down. We should know each other, I think. If anything special happened in your life in near past, if yes, write it down. Okay, so if you're changing something in the mesh and re-importing it again in Substance Painter, then you probably have to rebake the maps sometimes if you change the shapes and all. Like here, the star I added later, so you have to rebake it unless it's not gonna work. Stylized texture. I saw a lot of tutorials on this topic in YouTube. Lots of good explanations, and I tried to follow a little bit of their uh, whatever they taught. I tried to follow that, added some of my own knowledge on that, but mostly it's hand painting. It's just like painting. What I do in 2D, I did it in 3D. So first of all, I add a base color, and because I have baked this map, I wanted to use the occlusion map to create some of the shadows. So I've added a mask, added a layer, and added a black mask, and then I added a map, a fill layer, which is where I added the occlusion mask, occlusion map, which I baked in the baking process. But that's it. After that, it's mostly hand painting. You can use a curvature map also for using for giving some highlights in certain areas. See all these depths. This is normal map. It came from the BIC. The original model is the low poly model is without any detail of all those things. So it's all going to come in the textures. Okay, so see the concept art. It's looking really good. I'm using the symmetry button and trying to add up, create the shape of the shadow and light how it's in the concept art. More orange in the bottom portion. See, already it's started looking like appealing. Three major things we have to remember while doing stylized texturing is you have one base color and you have one darker tone of that, which is a shadow, and there is a highlights for them. It's a basic for any kind of texturing, I believe. You have a base color, you have a shadow, you have a highlights. Most of the people are doing stylized hand painting textures in 3D code, but I don't know 3D code. I know Substance Painter, and I try to do the same thing which I saw in the lot of tutorials. What they were doing in 3D code, I tried to do the same thing in Substance Painter. So in Substance Painter, you can use a simple layer, which is a paint layer, or you can use a fill layer with a black mask and a paint on top of that. I try to use the fill layer most of the cases because in that you can change the color later on. If you want this color should be a little darker or a little lighter, you can do that. But if you want a lot of variations, like really uh, hand painting style, then you can use normal layer, which I did later in the stage when the main basic structure of the colors was done. Here is just painting, nothing else. See the photo, see the concept, and do the painting. Enjoy the painting process. Now I'm adding a paint layer so that I can pick the colors from the model and just paint freely like you do in Photoshop. For the highlight, I'm creating selecting the same color from the model, and in the color wheel I'm making it more lighter. Add the highlights wherever you need it. Add the midtones, also add some color variations. after hours of painting and painting and painting, you're gonna get the result. It's the process is really entertaining. It's enjoyable. Slowly, slowly, you build up it from scratch. So it's really very much entertaining process. And don't forget to turn on the symmetry button, unless it will be a lot of a lot of work. See, I'm just selecting the color from the model, and I'm working in the base color. The hotkey for changing the channels is C in Substance Painter. So if you press C several times, you will get the base color channel. I'm trying to painting in the base color channel, so I'm not distracted by the overall material. Because what happens in stylized texturing is the main game is in the base color. The roughness maps and all will be, they will be very minimal. After that, I will add a fill layer and add a big lighting stylized filter on that layer. And I will change the blending mode to replace. And the blending mode of the fill layer will be soft light, and it will give you a very good depth on the model. It works very good on the stylized texturing. I'm just trying out if I can add a little bit of glow or some emission on that part of the model. So if you turn on the ghost effects from the eye options of Substance Painter, model looks very good in terms of rendering. I want to take a render in square format.
Change the background color to whatever you like. See, here's a options in the glare options. You have the threshold, the luminance value. You can change those things to achieve the amount of glare you want. And always try to change the lighting to see which one matches your model the best. See, the shadow is coming. It's looking very good. Okay, so now we have to make the other stars also. I will try to make that and then I render it again. You can actually make a render in the 3D software, whatever you're using, Blender or Maya or Max, whatever, and you can just import the whole scene like with the camera. You can import it in Substance Painter and you can render it there. So it's a brand new scene and I'm importing all the textures I have created in the previous file. Now is the time to take a proper render. After the rendering is done, I have to do some editing on the image so that it looks better. And I'm doing it in Photopea or Photopea. It's online, it's free. I'm just adding some glow on the part of the model where the light is hitting. So here is the final result. If you like this video, hit a like and please leave a comment, and I will see you in the next one. Have a nice day. Cheers.